All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are going to call this meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. And we will have Matthew Johnson do the roll call for us.
Good evening. Sarah Glenville.
Here.
Russ Walker.
Here.
Jane Payne.
Here.
Dennis Scholl.
Here.
And Carrie Miller.
Here.
Carrie Miller will be sitting in for Ed Stafford tonight, who is not here.
And we are glad to have you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
I don't know if you, have you met Dennis before? Carrie is an alum of the planning board, so he knows what he's up to here. All right, so the third item on the agenda, we need the approval of the minutes from the July 20th, 2020 Board of Adjustment meeting. It has been that long since we met, a year and a half ago, so hopefully everyone has had a chance to review the minutes. Did anyone have any comments or questions about the minutes at all?
No.
No? All right. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Russ has moved to approve.
Second.
Carrie has second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Okay. Looks like we got some activity outside here right now. Okay. So we are going to go into our new business, which is the consideration of a variance request for setback relief along front and side setbacks at 118 Brookberry Drive. So before we start in with hearing the testimony on that, I'm going to read this opening statement for us. This hearing is a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. That means it is like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decision. The rules are different from other types of land use decisions like rezoning cases. The board's discretion is limited. The board must base its decision upon competent, relevant, and substantial evidence in the record. A quasi-judicial decision is not a popularity contest. It is a decision constrained by the standards in the ordinance and based on the facts presented. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. Participation is limited. This meeting is open to the public. Everyone is welcome to watch. Parties with standing have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Parties are limited to the applicant, the local government, and individuals who can show they will suffer special damages. Other individuals may serve as witnesses when called by the board. General witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. For certain topics, the board needs to hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values and projections about impacts of increased traffic. Individuals providing expert opinion must be qualified as experts and provide the factual evidence upon which they base their expert opinion. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. At this time, we will administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony.
I only have Brad Arledge signed up. Did someone just come in? Did you intend to give testimony to the board?
I guess not. Yeah, let me do that. I'd like to reserve the right to do it.
Would you put your name in?
Yes.
Thank you. And is there anyone else in the audience who's changed their mind who wants to? Okay, would you remain standing, Mr. Stafford? Mr. Arledge, would you stand up? Raise your right hand, please, and just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that the evidence I give
the evidence I give
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
Thank you. You may be seated.
All right, thank you. Now, before we proceed to hearing the testimony, does any member of the board have a conflict with this case, or have you been party to an ex parte communication outside of this setting? No? None? Okay. So since we have none, we will have Matt come forward and present the case.
Good evening again. I'm going to take that out just so that I can speak it's a little clearer for those who are watching at home. The petitioner, Mr. Arledge, is requesting a variance to our land development ordinance front setback requirements for the single-family residential zoning district as found in Article 8.4-2F and Article 9.2-2, number 3. Ordinance requires a minimum front setback of 15 feet in the SFR zoning district. However, Article 9.2-2 states that the existing streets and in existing neighborhoods, new buildings shall be situated to meet the average setback of existing buildings within a 400-foot radius. This would mean that the applicant would need to meet a front setback of approximately 40 feet as he has shown his house to be positioned in relation to Edwards Drive. I know this has a Brookberry Drive address. That may change in the future. This would mean that the applicant would need to have a total of an 18-foot reduction from the required front yard setback to allow him to erect a new home on the property. Mr. Arledge is a potential buyer of the property and does have the permission to request this variance on behalf of the owner, as you have seen in your packet. Just for the record, a packet shall be given to the clerk as Exhibit A. Mr. Arledge is asking for permission to have that variance per the survey that is attached inside this packet. As you can see in the survey, the property is encumbered by a stream which runs through the southern portion of the property. The state of North Carolina has enacted significant buffer requirements since this lot was first platted, which do place a hardship upon the applicant to be able to effectively utilize this lot for construction of a single-family home. The hardship was not self-created, and the staff feel that granting the variance would be consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance. Just so that the board and the public are aware, the board has to consider certain things when faced with issuing a variance. Before they issue the variance, they must find that the hardship is not resulting from something that the applicant created. The hardship results from the strict application of the ordinance, that they are peculiar to the property, and that is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that the public safety would be secured and substantial justice is achieved. Our review of this variance request leads the following requirements for your consideration. If the ordinance is applied strictly, the setback in the front, and again I'm talking from Edwards Lane, would be a minimum of 40 feet. And as described above, the changes to the state stream buffer laws make this difficult to achieve. The hardship for which the applicant is applying for relief clearly results from the strict application of the ordinance. Due to the topography of the lot and the limited space afforded by the stream buffer requirements, the owner is somewhat limited in his ability to be able to enjoy the property without encroaching on the required setbacks or environmentally sensitive areas that have been described. Therefore, it's clear that the conditions that are being presented tonight are peculiar to this property. The hardship was obviously not self-created. The owner inherited the predicament when the property was purchased. It's clearly not a result of their own actions. The variance remedy also exists to permit the owners the right to vary from the strict application of the ordinance when it's believed that the health, safety, and welfare would not be adversely affected. Staff does not believe that the health, safety, and welfare would be adversely affected and that the variance would be consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance. There are some, I did put larger copies of the survey at your station so that you could see those. There are some photographs of the subject property in the packet, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Who is the recorded owner of the property at this point?
The record owner is Tad Main, I believe is the correct pronunciation. Somebody might correct me. All right. Any other questions? Very good. Thank you.
Matthew. Now, look, it's been a hot minute since we've done this. Nancy, what do we do now?
Time for the applicant.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Applicant.
If the applicant
Ask the
would like to
applicant to come
present,
forward?
absolutely, that's
Okay,
correct.
would the applicant like to come forward and present to us?
Hi, my name is Brad Arledge. I am the applicant. I attest to everything that Mr. Johnson just said, and I love the community. I'm really hoping to build a house here. I have two little girls that stay with me some of the time. I would really like for them to be able to enjoy the lot. I plan on putting a beautiful home there. I think it will add to the community. I hope y'all grant my variance request. That's basically all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments for the applicant? No? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I do have
Oh,
one question.
oh, okay.
Sorry. The house that's represented on this schematic, is that the house you intend to build?
Yes, sir. I have a picture of it right here if you'd like to see.
No,
it.
that's all right. I just wanted to make sure this is the one that's actually on here.
Yes, I had a difficult time finding a house that would actually fit on the lot with all the requirements and everything. So that's the one I chose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed, did you want to present at all?
Sure. I'm Ed Stafford, 701 Guilford Road, Jamestown. Of course, I love Forestdale East. It was one of my father's developments. And I also believe in the value of every homeowner to get to use their residential property in a manner that is in accordance with the subdivisions and developments in the subdivision that will be a plus to the community. I like the fact that Brad called me out to see this property. He's got a very nice custom home that would fit on there with these exceptions, and it will be in keeping with the custom-built homes of the neighborhood, the quality and the design. So as a local realtor of 47 years, I just wanted to, and a citizen of Jamestown for almost 70, I just wanted to add my proposal to it, that it would be a good thing for Jamestown and for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions at all for Ed? Okay. All right, so that, Nancy, those are the only two, yes?
And it's in the only two, yes.
Okay, so I guess now we discuss?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I guess what we are here to determine is those 3 points that Matthew brought up, are all those conditions met? So do people have thoughts about that?
This may be out of bounds, but environmental quality, that's not the purview of this committee, right? It goes to the DNR or DEQ if this is approved, correct? Because water runs back there, I hear it. We've lived around there 40 years. There's a stream at times of the year, and I just want to make sure that this is consistent with environmental quality.
So let me be clear. Are you asking about the quality of the lot?
No, environmental quality, does he have to go through hoops with DNR or DEQ?
Right. So the state pushes that responsibility down to the local government to enforce the stream buffer ordinance. So we would have to be, vigilant about any particular, potential violations of that. The first 20-foot portion of that 50-foot buffer is undisturbed. You can't touch it at all. The remaining 30-foot of the 50 can have some limited encroachment of, as far as removal of noxious plants. Poison ivy is a good example. Things that are dead, dying, there's disease. I mean, certainly you don't want to put your structure at risk if there's a dead tree there, you can remove that, those types of things. The idea is it would be primarily untouched. Certainly cannot put any type of structure, building or any of that type of thing in that stream buffer. It is up to the town to enforce those rules and regulations on behalf of Diener. That's correct.
All right, good, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Matthew. Other thoughts or comments about what has been presented? Dennis?
Yeah, I have a question for Ed. Can I ask?
For Ed?
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah.
should have asked when he was
Yeah.
up there, and I didn't.
Yeah, I think we are allowed to do that.
Ed, you said this is the part of the original development that was
Yes,
Forest Hill East?
Yeah.
Any particular reason that your father didn't develop this particular parcel as opposed to everything else that's in this development? 'Cause I think there aren't any other open spaces, are there?
Well, what they did in that subdivision is the lots were pretty much sold to individual builders who built homes for the folks moving in to buy.
Okay.
Dad built very few of the homes in there.
I just wondered.
Just
I
a
wasn't
land
here then,
developer.
so I don't know.
But in every subdivision that he's had, there's always 1 or 2 lots left over because they're going to be more expensive to build on than the rest of them. All the easy to build on lots
Yep.
go. And this one, because of the loneliness where it is and the uniqueness where it was, it's going to cost a little bit more money to build on and develop. So it just got overlooked. And of course, the neighbors would love it to stay just like it is because you want to keep the trees and so forth there. But, it's sort of like the Johnson property. If you want to keep the view, you need to buy it and pay for it. So,
Yeah, I'm not asking about the.
Yeah, okay.
I'm simply asking why it wasn't developed as part of
so
the original.
no builder, no
No one
builder
bought
picked it out.
No one bought it.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Sorry about that.
All right. Any other points of discussion or questions or?
Carrie, you're part of the homeowners association, aren't you?
I'm a member of the homeowners association, not an officer anymore.
You were. Are there anything in the homeowners association requirements about size of property or any of that?
Not that I'm aware of.
I just don't know. I never read them, so I just wondered.
No.
All right, so I guess what we're trying to determine, Matthew, can you read those three points again for us?
Absolutely. Do you want the staff's reasoning, or do you want just the basics that say, here's what you have to consider?
Yeah, what do we have to consider? What are the 3 things?
The
There were 3 things we had to consider, right?
So there are actually 4.
Oh, 4, okay, sorry.
To consider a variance, you have to show that, number 1, it's the unnecessary hardship is resulting from the strict application of the ordinance. Number 2, that the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the applicant's property, so they're unique. Number 3, the hardship was not self-created.
Oh, yeah.
And number 4, that is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. And I know that's a lot to write down very quickly.
That's okay. I just need some
Trying to get
thoughts
slow.
to remind me. Okay.
Read the first one again, would you?
The first one,
Yeah.
the unnecessary hardship results from the strict application of the
Oh,
ordinance.
yeah, there it is.
In other words, if we were to apply this ordinance as written, it would prevent him from being able to use this property in a reasonable manner. Any other questions?
And the reason that he's asking for the variance on the side and the front is because both the side and the front have the 40-foot.
So the side is not an issue. The way that this house would be positioned on the lot, it would face Edwards. So we would probably do an address change for this particular lot, to fit the addressing scheme along Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
The house would face it. 118 is the address that's assigned to the lot right now. It doesn't mean that that's how your house must face.
No, no.
That's never the intent of addressing. It's just, that was the line, that was what was chosen when they did the addressing back in the day. So he is actually asking for the least amount of variance possible to put the house footprint that you see in that survey on this lot. I mean, he could ask for a significant setback variance, but he is actually asking for the minimum to get his house on that lot.
Okay. Great. All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
you.
Matthew.
Sure.
Well, I guess let's ask then, 'cause how do we do this? Do we vote or how's it go?
So the deliberation would occur amongst the board.
Yeah.
There need to be findings of fact, generally based on those four.
Okay.
And that's why in the staff review of the statutory requirements, we sort of laid out our case for why we believe that it would fit. And the board can consider that. They can go make their own findings, but there are some findings of fact that need to be made by the board.
Okay.
Then you would vote
And then we
on
vote.
that.
Okay. Okay. So is it reasonable to go through each of these four conditions and,
Yes.
okay. So for condition number 1, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. How do we find on that in terms of?
When I still have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
Another question on that.
Yeah.
What is the side requirement?
The what?
In the ordinance, what's the side requirement right now?
The side requirement?
Since the side, the way the property is supposed to, the way the property was designed originally to face is Brookberry, what's the required side setback on Edwards?
It's 6 normally, but this is a corner lot, so if I'm not mistaken, this is off the top of my head, I believe it's 15 feet side setback. And that's what, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is what is being shown,
That's correct. It's 15.
15 feet.
And that's what's shown on the diagram?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, Anna was confirming behind me that it is 15 feet, yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So the strict application of the ordinance is less than the 22 feet he's asking for, if he faces the house to Brookberry? Just a question.
It would be nearly impossible to face the house towards Brookberry and still meet the stream setback requirements. To have a house of any size, dimension-wise, that you know, would seem appropriate in that neighborhood. It really, in our opinion, only fits if you face it towards Edwards. And that's what he is showing.
Do you know the square footage that would be in the house if it's built?
Say that again?
The square footage of the house?
I don't know the square footage, and it's something that we really can't consider.
Well, I'm not sure you couldn't consider it in the light of whether it fits into the scheme
I'm sorry,
of the neighborhood, you know? Put a tiny house there, wouldn't really be in keeping with the neighborhood.
The size of the house, just for the record, is going to be 2,400 square feet.
Oh, okay, thank you. Which I know we have some Forestdale Easters here, so I'm guessing that's in line with the neighborhood. All right. So, thank you, Matthew.
Sure.
All right, so what are our thoughts on that first condition then? Unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance.
I think if there's a classic case of a variance that meets all these criteria, 1 through 4, I mean, that's, in my mind, why we grant variances.
So you're saying this request meets all four of them?
In my viewpoint,
Okay.
it's a classic variance 101, so to speak.
Do others have thoughts about?
I agree with
One or all?
Harry, yeah.
Okay. Do we need to say specifically why, Matthew, or?
So, yes.
Okay.
The findings of fact, I mean, and again, you can parrot what has been provided by staff in that in the
Packet.
packet there that talks about the statutory requirements for a variance, the staff review of statutory requirements. We did make some, basic findings of fact that staff believe apply to this. You can certainly read those into the minutes if you wish, or you can make your own findings of fact.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, so the staff has found, and their finding of fact, that if the ordinance is applied strictly, the setback in front would be a minimum of 40 feet. As described above, the changes to the state stream buffer laws make this setback difficult to achieve. The hardship for which the applicant is applying for relief clearly results from the strict application of the ordinance. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay? Dennis, do you agree with that?
I guess.
If you don't, that's okay.
No, I guess.
Okay. All right, so, and then number 2, due to the topography of the lot and limited space afforded by the stream buffer requirements, the owner is somewhat limited in his ability to be able to enjoy his property without encroaching on the required setbacks or environmentally sensitive areas that have been described. Therefore, it is also clear to staff that the conditions are peculiar to the applicant's property.
Yes,
Agree.
agreed.
Agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. 3, this hardship was not self-created. The owner inherited this predicament when the property was purchased, and it is clearly not the result of his own actions. Agree?
Obviously, yeah.
Just curious, I mean, Ed said that this was a leftover lot. No builder bought it. The person who owns it of record has not come forward. He's come forward through Mr. Arledge. But I'm assuming that Mr. Maine, was that his name?
Maine, Tad, Maine.
Bought it sometime after the initial sale of lots in the development for some purpose. Anyway, just idle curiosity, perhaps. I've been down there to look at the lot. It's a difficult lot to build on. I can see why no builder jumped in to do it initially. But I agree with whatever that is.
Dennis, did you have comments on this one?
Read it again.
Yeah. So what the town found was this hardship was not self-created. The owner inherited this predicament when the property was purchased, and it is clearly not the result of his own actions. The stream buffer, I think, is what is not the result of his own actions.
No, the stream's not. But isn't the hardship created because he wants to face it to Edwards as opposed to Brookberry? Huh? Go ahead.
Okay, Matthew, yeah.
Just for clarification purposes, they mean, for example, the gentleman didn't go out there and start building the house, cut down all the trees in the buffer, and then find out, he's in violation of the stream buffer ordinance.
Yeah, he'd be in
And then come to you and says, I want a variance. That is not how the variance process is intended to work. It's intended to work in this manner where they've talked to us, they've identified that there are challenges, they realize that they could make use of the property if they get a little bit of a relief from the strict application of the ordinance. So they did not create the issue, the stream is there, they have to navigate around it.
Yeah, I'm not questioning the stream, not at all. I'm questioning the front setback on Edwards would not be 40 feet, it would be 15 if he fronted Brookberry,
No,
Broadberry, or
No.
Brookberry.
no. So the positioning of the structure determines where the front is. So I can't, for example, you're looking at the house, front door, those types of things, they're facing Edwards. I can't decide that his garage on the side is his front. That doesn't make logical sense. So it depends on which direction he's orienting the structure. In this particular case, really the only way that could be oriented in a way that you would get a house of any significant size is to face it towards Edwards Lane and not Brookberry. So if he were to shift the house to face Brookberry, his side setback would then become Edwards.
So,
That would be 15, not 22.
Well, it would mimic the side setback of the rest of the properties within a 400-foot radius. I don't know them off the top of my head, but they're close. They're somewhere in that range. The more significant one is the 40-foot setback. Setbacks historically were a lot larger in years back. Years ago. So those houses that were developed in that neighborhood were developed in a manner that they were approximately 40 feet back from the street. The reason that language exists in the ordinance is to prevent somebody from taking, let's say, the last lot in a neighborhood, an existing neighborhood, and then putting a structure on it that seems out of place. It's vastly in front of the rest of them. Our setback now is 15 feet on the front setback. If you're doing a brand-new subdivision, our minimum setback is 15 feet. It's 6 on the sides and 25 on the rear. So it is more of a move from an urban design perspective to bring houses closer to the street rather than setting them way back from the street.
Yeah, I just wondered, because I live in that development, nowhere near this lot, by the way. But I live near it, and mine's much more than 40 feet. My setback is much greater than 40 feet. Just wondered.
Yep. Any other questions? I'll come back if you need them.
okay.
Thanks.
So what are our thoughts on number 3 then? Carrie was in favor of 3. Jane?
I'm in favor of it.
Yes.
Russ? Okay.
I guess.
Okay. And then number 4, the variance, the town found, and we can determine if we're in agreement, the variance remedy exists to permit owners the right to vary from the strict application of the ordinance when it is believed the health, safety, and welfare would not be adversely affected. Staff does not believe the health, safety, and welfare would be adversely affected, and that this variance would be consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance. So are we in agreement that the health, safety, and welfare
Yes.
of the town would not be adversely affected?
I agree. If you go
Correct.
back there and look at the lot, it'd be better off to have somebody living on it than the opportunity for water to stand and mosquitoes. I think the town's not going to be adversely affected.
Okay,
Just as environmental is my only concern, and that was addressed, so.
okay,
I agree.
okay, all right. So, okay, now Matthew, we've gone through the findings of fact. So now we vote?
That's correct.
Okay, is it a roll call or just a all?
Roll call.
Okay. Nancy, are you going to do the roll call or?
Yes.
Okay.
We need a motion.
Oh, thank
Do
you.
we need a motion?
Motion first, right?
Do we do a motion?
Need a motion?
Oh, okay, sorry. Would someone like to make a motion that we, that we approve the variance as requested, based on the finding of fact?
Nobody jumping forward?
That's all we need, right?
Who is the motion?
No one has made a motion yet, but that's all we need, is a motion.
Motion
that
and a
we
second.
Approve.
Please.
But the way I stated it is,
Motion and a second, and just to help Nancy out a little bit, I'll call the roll.
okay, so we just need a motion to approve the variance request the variance as requested based on the finding of fact. I can't make the motion.
I know you can't.
Okay, Russ has made the motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. All right, now we do a roll call?
Roll call, Jane Payne,
Yes.
Carrie Miller,
Yes?
Sarah Glenville,
Yes?
Russ Walker,
Yes.
and Dennis Scholl.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. That's it, yeah?
That is it.
Okay, so then we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
That one we get it on quickly. So we had Jane and Dennis, you second it? All right, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay? All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.